Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Today we're going to make some trees and we're visiting a castle. Come on, let's check out my workspace. We'll get started. All right, here's my workspace for today. I'm super excited because I just realized that the blog post that I'm formatting this layout after is done by Melissa Ullmann, and I actually was just involved in a class that she was doing virtually online, so I'm excited because I didn't realize that she had designed this layout as well. So fantastic. We love you, Melissa. So today's layout is super fun, and as I mentioned just now, this is from a blog post that I found recently from Melissa Ullmann, and so we are going to create this on my page. Now, the only caveat I have for that is I just noticed that she has actually framed this out, and I'm not sure I was planning to do that. I really probably should, though, because of the balance in colors and things like that. So let me grab some cardstock real quick and we will do that. I realize that my recreation doesn't have to be exactly like hers, but I do like the balance and the fact that she's got this frame around the edge that picks up the dark part of the trees. And my trees are not going to be quite as pronounced as hers, but I think it will be worth taking a minute and doing the frame as well. So let me just add, I've got 2 pieces of hot fudge cardstock. I've got 2 pieces of the birch tree paper, designer paper from Deeper in the Woods that just came out. I've got another piece of kind of pine tree-ness from Deeper in the Woods, and this has the acorns and leaves on the back. I've got a piece of the forest paper, also from Deeper in the Woods, and a remnant from another layout. That's the correct way, so my trees are facing the right direction. All right, so there's my remnant. And then I have a bunch of scraps. This is going to be a layout we can use a bunch of scraps with, as well as some wood grained paper. And that is a remnant as well. So not all of these are full sheets, and not all of these will we use the whole sheet. So just keep that in mind as we are getting ready to build. I have the CM circle cutter out, and now when Melissa did hers, she chose to use the CCS system, which is totally fine, and I will show you and tell you which blades to use with the CCS patterns. But I wanted to try something, and so I have pulled out my CM circle cutter to use and actually demo for you in this video. So if you would rather, if you don't have the circle cutter, then use your CCS system. That's totally fine. I will tell you exactly which pieces to use. That's not a big deal. I have my permanent and my repositionable adhesive out. They're just going to sit off here to the side, and actually I'm going to put them up here just for now to kind of get them a little bit out of the way. And then I also have my pages and the things that are going to go on this layout ready to go and kind of laid out the way I think I'm going to want them. We are going to County Clare today in my Ireland book, and that's where Bunratty Castle is located. If you've ever been to Bunratty Castle, then you will know the fun that is in store for those. We'll talk about those when we get to that far. But right now, let's concentrate on cutting some pieces for this layout. So first thing, oh, and I also am going to use some pens today, so I hope that you have some of the double-edged, or dual-tipped pens. Okay, here we go. I can talk. I'm going to grab my 12-inch trimmer, and we are going to start by cutting frames. So we're going to use these 12 by 12 pieces of cardstock. We're going to cut 2 1-inch frames. And I'm just going to do this really quick. If you've never cut a frame before, be sure that you check out the video and learn how to cut a frame before you just jump into it. It's not hard, but you'll want to know how to do it before you just start experimenting. And there's 2 ways to do it. You can do it the way that I am doing it, without clips, or you can use clips as a guide, and they really are helpful if you are not experienced at making frames. So don't be ashamed. Grab your clips, and it's better to make accurate cuts and use whatever guide methods you have than to experiment and find that you should have used your clips. Right? All right. So this will just take a second. 1 second more to do this one. All right, so those 2 frames are done. Now I'm going to go ahead and, before I move on and forget, I'm going to remove 1/2 inch from each one of these base pages. I've stacked them so that I can cut them at the same time. That will make it take just a little bit less time. So we're just going to move this to the beginning of the grid on the side. That's the 1/2 inch mark. We'll take a 1/2 inch off that side, and I'm going to turn it and take a 1/2 inch off the bottom. The reason I take a 1/2 inch off the bottom is because sometimes when you're using a decorative paper like this, the more decorative elements are on the top, and you don't want to take those off. With this paper, it probably doesn't matter so much. All right, so those are going to be done and set to the side. Now I'm going to take some of this wood grain paper, and I am going to go ahead and cut this in various widths. So we're going to cut a strip in 1/4 inch, and we're going to cut a strip in 1/2. And we're going to cut a strip in 3/8 of an inch, which is kind of halfway between the 2. Just sort of some random lengths. And then, let me see, I think I'm going to go just even a little bit wider, and we'll cut one that is more like 5/8 of an inch. Okay, so those will be for the trunks of our trees, and I'm just going to set those up there till we need to get to them. I'm going to go ahead and cut 9 different 1-inch strips. You can see behind these photos there are decorative pieces of paper that are horizontally placed across. Okay, and those are of varying lengths. It doesn't matter how long they are, really. If you, it may be determined actually by how wide the photos are that you are adding in front. But keep in mind, if you have something large that's going to go across, you might not need long lengths of those 1-inch strips. So you might be able to use up some of your smaller 1-inch scraps, or even more narrow than 1 inch. I really don't think it has to be 1 inch, but if you're using something that's more narrow than 1 inch, you'll need to compensate and add more of them, I guess is probably the guideline that I would give for that. Okay, so I'm going to, I have some scraps from the, whoops, this needs to be a 1 inch. Some scraps from the Deeper in the Woods collection. So I'm just going to cut a couple of those that we can use. Cut a couple into more usable measurements. I have this one, which is from a previous layout that I did. Just gonna straighten that edge a bit, and we'll cut some. Now keep in mind, I'm doing a 2-page layout, and Melissa did a 1-page layout, so we are going to need twice as many strips. So we're going to need 18 strips. They don't have to be the same. You can make them the same, but they don't have to be the same. So I'm just going to cut, you know, a bunch of these. So I've got this one already, and I've got this, I think that might be my only remnant of that paper. No, it's not. Look, I've got a couple more, but these are not quite 1 inch. These are 3/4 of an inch. But that's okay. We can still use those. And I'm going to leave that little angle on. I don't really need to worry about cutting it off. We'll leave those there and maybe save this one to live to scrap another day. I've got these that are remnants from another project. So I think we'll use those. Maybe. What's on the back of this one? Ah, that's a nice plaid. Maybe we'll use the plaid. I don't know. We'll see. Some of these greens don't really go with the greens that our trees are going to have, but that's okay. It doesn't have to. It is nice, though, when the greens all kind of complement one another. All right, so this is part of the Ireland theme pack, and it's just a nice kind of neutral tone on tone. So I'm going to cut those into 1 inch pieces so we can use those. We could also do some clovers and shamrocks. I have lots of nice green. Again, this one is not, this is going in my Ireland scrapbook, so I'm bridging 2 different themes with this. Whoops, I threw that in the wrong place. All right, so I love this one, and I don't remember where this came from, so I apologize. It's not quite going to give me 1 inch on both sides, but it'll be close, and that's good enough for me today. So we're just going to cut this in half and use that. It's a wood grain, but it's green, so I love that it kind of goes with both themes that we've got going today. And we've got this one that's a stripe, which is kind of nice. We've got a couple more that we can trim a little bit off of. You've seen this one before. This is from the Kelly Green Totally Tonal. That one's kind of cool. I don't know how many we have now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I probably need at least one more. I love this one, but I don't know if that's going to work anywhere specific. I also love this plaid. Let's go with something that has a little more color in it than those. We could try this one. Let's see. There's that. And I've got some more of that one over here, so we can cut another strip over the other side. And then I think what I'll do is just sort of keep the rest of this handy, and we might come back and swap things out, that kind of thing. That one we've already used. All right, so we'll just keep the rest of these handy. If we need another one, we'll try to swap it out for one of those. How's that? All right, so now I'm going to play a little bit, and I hope you don't mind indulging me, but we are going to go ahead and play with our circle cutter for a minute. These, let me just set these aside over here. We'll get there. Okay, to make these 3 trees, and I'm going to be making 6 trees because 2 pages, right? So we got to have our trees balance each other out. So to make these trees, we are going to make 3 different size circles. The biggest circle is going to be made with the medium size CCS pattern. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, these are CCS patterns. Okay, and then you use a blade with them. And so we're going to use the medium circle and then the red blade around the outside to get the 5-inch circle that we need for this. Okay, and we are going to use the small circle, which is right here, to create these 2. This one is made using the blue blade around the outside to create a 4.5-inch circle, or close enough. And then this one is made using the small circle with the red blade. So blue blade and red blade and the small circle for these 2. And the medium circle and the red blade for this one. All right. So now you have, if you're using the CCS system, you can go ahead and cut those. I'm going to use my circle cutter to cut these. And if you're not familiar with the circle cutter, I'm going to just give you a quick demonstration. So there's a bubble on the side here with a black line. That's going to line up with these white numbers at the bottom, and that's for the blade, which is what we're concerned about right now. Actually, let me take that back. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and line up this at, it's going to be at 9.2 using the white lines down here, or if you are using the black lines above it, which are for the pen hole over here, then you're going to measure that at 4 3/4. And then you're going to turn this white dial until, or to the right clockwise, until it stops, so it holds that in place. Okay, then we're going to take our pattern, our paper, and we're going to place this in the middle. So if you're not sure where the middle is of your paper, then there's a way that you can measure to find that center of your paper. Let me find my Post-it. Grab a Post-it note, stick it in the middle of the paper that you're trying to trim. Grab your 0 centering ruler. Find the middle. So this piece is 5.5 by 5.5. So half of 5 is 2.5, and half of a half is 1/4. So we're looking for 2 3/4, which is going to be right there. And I'm going to take my pencil mark. And really, the important part here is that you find the center, and then you find 1.25 inches from the center. So we are looking at Here's our center. Now I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure 1 1/4 inches from the center. So I'm lining up this line here, which is 1 1/4 inches in. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 1 inch, and one more line is 1/4. And I'm lining that up on my horizontal axis, and then drawing another line here. Now that's important because it's this line that you want to line up your cutter with, okay? And I'm going to keep that not too far away because we're going to need that for these papers in just a second. All right, so we're going to line up the front of the cutter with the, oops, my center line doesn't go far enough. I need it to go a little farther. There we go. Okay. We're going to draw first, so I'm going to uncap my pen and I'm going to pop my pen into this end well until I hear that little pop, and you can just barely see the tip of the pen poking through right there. Okay? Now I'm going to line up this line with this junction right here. The front of the circle cutter goes right on this line that we just drew, the front, 1 1/4 inches from the horizontal axis of the center of our paper, okay? And the black line in the bubble goes right on the vertical line that comes down and intersects. Okay, then we're going to push down. That's going to pivot, allow us to pivot, and we're going to draw, well, in a perfect world, we're going to draw our way around. It's not wanting to pivot. Oh, my pen bled. Drat. That's why it wouldn't pivot, because I had it sitting there too long. All right, hang on. Well, that's a shame. Okay, well, the good news is I have more paper, so that's not a problem. But it is a little bit of a bummer. Now I have ink on my thing. I can clean that. Well, okay. So, same concept, but we're going to remove that and try it. Whoa, and I'm getting ink on my paper. Drat. Okay. Just going to clean that off just a little. I'm going to use this same Post-it note, and I'm going to put it right where I believe the center would be for this. I think that will work. Let's try it. All right, so without explaining too much so that my pen doesn't bleed again, I'm going to set this down just like I set it down last time, and then we're going to try to get it to go all the way around without an issue. All right, so there's my circle. A little bit of squiggles, but I can fix that, so not a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to move this over. We're going to cut, instead of doing a 5-inch, instead of drawing a for the 5-inch circle, we're going to move this over. Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. Okay, this needs to stay on there. I need to not move it until I have cut the circle. So, adjustments. Let's try this one more time. Sorry, it's been a little while since I've tried to play with this. So first we're going to draw that circle on. Then we're going to remove the pen, and I'm going to keep this where I can see it. Okay, I want to now adjust it, so I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to loosen this up. I'm going to push the pivot back down so that it doesn't move, and I'm going to slide this because now I want to use the cutter. And I'm going to move this to the 5. And then I'm going to tighten the white dial. I know this is hard to see, and I apologize. And I'm going to cut all the way around. And then that gives me my circle with my perfect line around the edge. Okay, so that's that circle right there. Now, the next one we're going to use a different paper. So I'm going to use this paper over here, and we're going to do this one and this one's a little bit smaller, but I'm still just going to place this a reasonable distance from the corner. And that's roughly, in case you really need measurements, it's roughly 2 1/4 inches square here to the center point of my post-it note. All right. Then I'm going to slide this back over, and this time we're cutting a 4 1/2 inch circle. So I want this to go to the 4 1/4 mark using the pen measurements on the black. The 4 1/4 mark is where that line is. Okay, now I'm going to put my pen back in. Hold on, I have to make sure it's all the way in because I didn't hear it pop. Okay, all right, so 4 1/4. Let's go ahead and I'm going to line this up, and we're going to spin it around. Pull my pen out. Okay, then I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to hold the base while I unlock the pivot point. Then I'm going to push down on the pivot point again to hold that in place. Okay, and I'm going to slide this over using the white measurements at the bottom. Now I want it to be 4 1/2, so I'm going to place the black line right in between the 4 and the 5. There are 4 marks in between the 4 and the 5. I'm placing it evenly in between the 2 center marks. And if you know your circle cutter, then you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so keeping that pivot down, now we're going to cut. All right, so there's our second circle. Okay, now the third circle is going to be made from this one back here, and this one's going to be a 4-inch circle. So I'm just going to cut it from this side so I don't have to try to judge where it is on the in relation to that circle. Okay, so this is a 4-inch circle, so I'm going to draw my line at 3 3/4. Sorry, 3 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to move this bubble and use the black measurements at the top, and I'm putting that at 3 3/4. Putting my pen back in. All right, then we're going to line this up. And the Post-it note is really just so that if for some reason my circle maker has to move, I can line it back up again with no issues. Okay, so again, we're going to hold the base, unlock the white dial, push the pivot back down, and slide this across until we get to the 4. Then we're going to hold the base, lock the pivot. Whoops, I moved it. Lock the pivot in at, at 4. Push the pivot down, and we're going to cut and swivel. All right. Oh, had a couple places where it was stuck. Okay, so there is our smallest one, and it looks like I may need to go back and add some pen marks, but that's okay. All right, so there are 3 of our circles. Now I actually need 3 more, which I'm going to go ahead and cut, but you don't need to worry about watching me. So, ready? There we go. Okay, I think I am done playing around with that. That was fun. I don't usually use the pens in that very often, so that was a fun excuse to get to play with that. All right, so now I've got my circles, and we are ready to play around with making some branches and stems and all kinds of fun things. Okay, let's start assembling some of this. So I'm going to grab I'm going to grab my frames and my base sheets. Well, let's start there. All right. So 1 frame, 1 base sheet. Let's grab permanent adhesive. Get this stuck down. Okay. It doesn't really matter which direction my trees are going at the moment, because I'm just centering this on here on the frame. And then we will be good to go. All right, so there's one. Let's do the other. Okay. There we go. All right. So now we are going to, let's organize some strips and see which strips we are going to need, and if I need to cut any other ones. So we're going to do, I think these will end up being trimmed. So I'm just going to start laying these on here and kind of getting a better idea for what we've got here. So these are the secondary ones. This one can be a short one also. There, that one can go there. Kind of a sandy one. That one's going to get lost on the background, I can tell right now. This one's kind of a different shade of green, but I like how it kind of picks up a little bit of that in there, so I think we'll go with that. Now this is going to be too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We only need 9 really. So which ones should we remove? I'm thinking this one probably. So we probably need to remove another one. And I'm leaning towards this one because you can't really see it. So I think it would be better to go with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that will be good. Okay. So we'll stick those over there so I don't accidentally grab them. This one I'm going to want to divide in half, I think, but let's grab the stuff that we are going to use on this page so that we can kind of see where we need stuff, right? Okay, so this is going to go on this page. We're going to have County Clare go up the side here because this is our foray into County Clare. All right, so that's going to go there. I have a peekaboo pocket for Bunratty Castle, which I need to adjust so that this will not take up our entire page. So let me mark this and then I will go and fix it. Okay. Hold tight. All right, so this was an 8-inch peekaboo pocket that I just modified so that I could make it work for my this is not wanting to cut. I should have probably used my 12-inch trimmer. And I think I will anyway because that's not close enough. Let's try the 12-inch trimmer. It's better designed for this anyway. I don't know why I didn't grab it first. All right. So we want to be careful we're not cutting what we just sealed. There we go. So I have this wonderful map of Bunratty Castle, and it's got some great visuals, but I don't really want to put this across my whole layout this time because really on our visit, now this is good information for you if you're going to be going to Bunratty Castle. This is a huge, huge, huge place. Almost, well, I would say in the time you could spend here, it probably rivals Blarney. And that's because of all of these wonderful extras that they have that you can see and go and visit and do. But really, our tour only consisted of walking in this gate, visiting the gift shop. We walked along this road right here, and we went in the castle, took a group picture when we were done, and then we had to go. So, if you're going here, I would plan on a lot more time because there's a lot more to see and some really cool stuff that we really wished that we had more time after we realized what was there. But we just didn't know, and our tour was packing in so much that we just couldn't allow the extra time. So definitely plan on extra time if you are going to Bunratty Castle. Okay, but it's the Bunratty Castle and Folk Park, and you will spend a lot of time there. You could spend a lot of time there, I guess I should say. So this will fit right into this newly created peekaboo pocket. I'm going to put adhesive on the back as well as remove the cellophane from this, but I'm not going to do that just yet because I'm basically just setting this on here to see how much room it's going to take. I also have this really cool thing that talks about the Celtic Tree of Life, which is a Christmas ornament that we bought while we were there, and then it says, "My roots spread deep into your heart, my branches will never keep us apart. My embrace gives warmth in times of strife, my breath provides the gift of life." The Celtic Tree of Life is something really special to me, and I'm not really sure why exactly, but I just really love it, and so I just thought that that would be a cool thing to keep, and I will probably cut it off down here because I don't need all of that, but you can see how the ornament was attached on this side. We love collecting Christmas ornaments from all the places that we visit around the world. It's just a fun thing to remind us of our trip, and just a really special memento. Okay, so I've got these 3 pictures, which I think I will mat the top 2, but they will go up here, and then the trees are going to just sort of hover above this. So that's what I wanted to check is how much of the trees are we going to see? On this side, not very much of the trees. So we can probably, I'm going to move these strips over here. We probably actually will only see 2 of the 3 trees because they will be too far down to make any kind of difference. But I'm going to move these over and just put them at varying lengths so that I can kind of get a sense of where to trim them off. So these, we could probably cut these at 6 inches and then just kind of play with them. I'm gonna, let me find a measurement here. So this stops at about 7 3/4. So that gives me about 4 inches to play with on the side, and that will help be a better guideline for how to cut these. Because especially this one here on the bottom, I would really like to be able to use it on both sides, so I don't want to use more than I need. So we're just going to cut this one right at 4 and save this bit for the next place. And I'm going to grab my repositionable adhesive, and I'm just going to go ahead and set this. I'm going to start about 1/4 of an inch up from the base. It's hard to tell where she starts exactly. It looks like she's got a border that kind of goes across. So if we want to put a border across, then we'll need a little bit of extra room. So that will help with that. The rest of these I'm going to do at varying lengths. We're going to do this one at 4 1/4. And I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch in between. We'll see if that's enough. That's why I'm using repositionable adhesive. Who knows if it will be enough? I don't know. This one I'm going to do at 4 3/4. and maybe we'll need to recut that at a different length for the next one. I don't know. This one we're going to do at 4.5. Oh, and it's important to note, I just was looking at Melissa's example. She does not have all of hers lined up right along the edge. For some reason I was thinking that's where they belonged, but it is not where they belong. So let's move a few of these in just a little, so that we are a little more in keeping with her theme she has going here. Move that one in. I'll move this one in. This one that we just placed. And we might need to adjust these again. Who knows? All right. This one. This one's going to get cut at 6 inches. And then be a little farther than the one before it. Boom, let's turn that on over so that our shamrocks are going the right direction. This one. This one I'm cutting at 5.5. I think I'm going to make this one kind of go more out, almost to the very edge. So these that are higher up, I'm going to try to make them be longer. Not more than 6 inches, but longer, so that they are just more able to be seen. And I might need one more strip after all, because I am not going to make it all the way to the top edge. So maybe we'll pull some of that plaid in after all. Let's see. We need one that's roughly 1/2 inch. Is that going to be too much? I'll adjust a few things here. All right. Let's move this one down a smidge because it's a little bit higher than it should be. Then we can move this one down. this one can go just above it. Okay. There we go. Now we are going to, let's see if we can figure out the trees. So this is going to go here again. We'll figure that one out in a minute. I think I'm going to put the trees kind of blossoming underneath County Clare. But let's figure out which ones we can have. I need one of each size. I think I'm going to do that one on that side, which means we could do this one over here, which means that one will go over there, and this one would go over here. And like that. Maybe we won't use the one that has all the not nice pin work. We don't need that one after all. All right, I think that will work. We'll use these two. And they can go kind of underneath here. They can go here and here. And when people remove this, then they will be able to see the trees. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my trees. And yes, you're right. We're not going to see as much of the trees as we might otherwise have seen because I have memorabilia. But that's okay. Okay, so let's grab some tree trunks. I'm gonna cut this about here. This is the tough part of this for me, and that is that we need to kind of customize this a little and make it a little bit more narrow. You have to kind of think, what would a tree look like, right? Probably could use the birch side. That'd be kind of cool. There's that. And we're just going to make some haphazard branches, which we may need to lift up and kind of work through, but just bear with me because this is how we do paper art. This is how you do paper art in Kim's world, right? It's just a little bit haphazard. These trees, if you look at Melissa's sample, these trees are really not super structured anyways, so I think it's okay. just a couple more pieces here to that. By cutting the paper strip at an angle, you kind of already build in where your branch is going to go, because you can just attach it that way. Alright, now we need to do this other tree. Trim the top of this one just a little too, because I think it looks better when the top of the trunk is a little more narrow. Still abstract, but you know, a little bit better, a little more real. Not that it's real in any way. Okay, just going to add just a couple of branches to this one, and because most of this is going to be covered. Oh, that is going the wrong direction. Not helpful when it's going the wrong direction. Okay. Again, most of this tree work is not going to be seen unless or until someone opens up or pulls out that map, but that's okay. It'll be all right. Okay. There are our two trees. So this guy will go in here with our County Clare. That will go along here. And then I'm going to go ahead and mat the photos that are going to go on this page. So not with a huge mat, just a little one that goes around the edge. So about 1/8 of an inch is really all I'm allowing. And we could go ahead and mat this little guy too, just so that he's not lost in the shuffle quite so much. Because we have cardstock, we might as well. Okay. There. And then we'll just trim these up. So Bunratty Castle was really an interesting place, and as I mentioned before on the map, when we were looking at the map, we didn't really realize what we were going to be seeing, but it is a very cool experience. If you are in the area on your trip to Ireland, I would definitely recommend you stop in and check it out. As I mentioned, there's this whole folk park that you can go to, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and get this peekaboo pocket put down. So I'm going to remove the cellophane from the adhesive, the main adhesive that goes across the back. And again, I'm using this peekaboo pocket backwards, so the flap does not fold down. I leave it open so that the adhesive side is towards the back, and then that way I can just add some adhesive to the rest of it. And actually, I would think I need to use permanent. Well, I'm going to use permanent because most of the time this is going to sit here in the album, so I'm not really worried about people seeing it. Okay, so we're going to, let's go ahead and put County Clare down. Why is that so dark? I must have gotten something. Okay. Something's going hinky with my adhesive, and it's all coming off on the inside. I've had this happen once in the whole time I've ever had those larger adhesive guns, but my adhesive for some reason starts not coming off. And that's not coming off either. Let's try permanent. It's working. Strange. You can see how my cardstock has changed colors. I must have set that down and gotten something on it. I'm still going to use it though because I don't want to have to cut another one. And I think it will be okay because everything's protected on this page, so I'm not really too worried. So, County Clare. Good thing my letters are a little chunky, huh? Gives me a little bit more space to add my adhesive, and so that it doesn't get too tedious. All right, so there's County Clare. Now we're going to add the map. I'll flip this over and get that up there. I'm not actually going to push down the bottom of this just yet because I noticed when I was looking at Melissa's instructions that she actually has a border down here on the bottom edge, so we may add a little bit of a border down there too. We'll see. For right now, let's just get these photos on here. Goodness. This has been a crazy day. Some days are just like that. I don't think I'm necessarily trying to do things too quickly. It's just been, as my daughter would say, a hot mess. So, I apologize. If you're watching this and you're new to my channel, this is not how I typically do things. But you know what? We are resilient. We can make this work. All right, let's get a refill because I am apparently out of adhesive. All right, we are all loaded up with new cartridge. So hopefully that will make that easier. Oh, hey, thanks, Michael. Just leave it right there for me, would you? Thank you. Okay. So this is Bunratty Castle, but it is from the freeway, so it's a little bit different view of where we were headed. And so that's why I wanted to include these. I'm going to move this one over so that we can still see some of the paper. Move that one over a little too. Also, it's nice when all of your things kind of form a little bit of a triangle, a visual triangle that we talk about all the time. This is a picture of the dashboard and some music that was playing, and so that's being included just to help us remember the cool music. And then this is not going to fit on this layout, so what I might do is just sort of stick it in here. We'll see if it stays there. I might actually move it, but we'll get to that eventually. Okay, let's work on page 2, and then we'll get those adhered to our actual hinged page, which is right here. That's going to go on this one. So we'll just set that right on there. All right. Now the photos that are going to go on this page are going to cover up, again, a lot of the paper. So it is what it is. But because I don't know exactly where it's going to cover up, we're just going to go ahead and add these in and not worry so much about where they are or how long they are. We're just going to go ahead and add them. And then we'll add the trees on top. And I think that will work. Then you, if it works for me, then you will know if it will work for you, right? Right. This one we need to cut the point off of. This one I've already got some of. This one we decided not to use. Let's cut the point off this guy. This one we need to cut a little smaller. So I've got plaid, clover, variants, fern, wood. I've got that clover, that one, stripe, darker one, and that one. So that's it. The rest of these I don't need to trim because they're just extra. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these strips put on. We already know the order we want them in, so we're just going to put them in a bit of a variety. Whoops, I'm going to use repositionable just in case I need to move them, right? That's the smart thing to do, isn't it, ladies? Yes. Okay, so we're going to just put these on. I need to be a little bit more careful, I think, about my judgment of we put them in the same order? I think I should put them in the same order. But that's probably not that important, is it? But I think I'm going to anyways, just because. It will make sense. It'll make more sense to me to do that. And let's work our way from the outside to the inside, and that way maybe we'll not have to pick too many of these up to adjust them. Just going to do this really quickly. All right, and then let's go ahead and we'll put our circles on for our trees. Again, using repositionable adhesive is going to save me here because I don't know exactly where I want these, and even after I get them put down, I may need to pick them back up again. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I want to make sure these trees are right side up, but the rest of my designs are really not critical to which tree goes where. All right, this one's going to go down here. And actually, she's got it a little bit off the page, and I like that idea because we may need this space. So, and I'm going to need some more trunk cut, because this is not enough. Okay, this one is just about enough, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. And actually, this one could be considered enough also, I think. He's going to need to go underneath this circle though, so we're going to lift this circle up and put this guy underneath. Come on, pick up. So like that. All right, where did my wood paper go? Did I cover it up? There it is. Okay. Let's cut a few more branches. Let's see if that's enough. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And actually, I think I'm going to move this one over. Let's have this one be this tree right here. And this one can be this tree. And go up a little more. Oh, you know what I didn't do on these that I did on the others is taper them just a little bit. Let's do that really quickly. So this is what you do if you are like me and you get the cart before the horse, right? Does that happen to you? Am I the only one? Please tell me I'm not the only one. Okay. I know this has been a long video, so I was trying my best to kind of hurry. And this is what happens when I hurry. I forget and I don't do everything I should have done. Okay, there's that. Let's just make a few branches. Well, you could really spend a lot of time on these trees. Even though they are rather abstract, this could become kind of nutty. I think I'm just going to use this one last little piece, and we're going to go with whatever we get with these. Okay, there. There. All right. Let's go with that, and if we need to add more, we can add more. I've got plenty of little pieces we can use. Okay, so the photos that we are adding to this part of the layout are going to include these, and so let's mat a few of these at least. So I want to mat this one. This one is a map of the park. Since we're not we're not displaying the map that we have in the other, on the other side of the layout, I felt like it would be appropriate to go ahead and add a photo of the map so that we can see that. This is my sweet husband who traveled in the row behind me the whole way. And I'll do this one. And this one. But that means only one will not be matted. I don't know if that's going to be a good idea or not. I suppose it will be what it is. Right? Okay, let's trim this, and if necessary, I will grab some more cardstock and we'll get that other one matted also. All right, those two. Let's see how we're going to lay this out. Wow, I've taken a lot of your time today. I'm sorry about that. This has been a much more involved process than I expected. So let's try and get these on here. This there, that's going to cover up all of my trees. Maybe not all of my trees, but a lot of it. We could put it into a peekaboo pocket. Let's see. 5 by 3 3/4. let's do that. We'll make that a peekaboo pocket. Put it there. People can look up and look at the trees. We'll put journaling on the other side. That's what we're going to do. All right. Okay, so this one we'll put into a peekaboo pocket. I'm going to trim the edge of this circle real quick. This tree's getting just a little trim because he's off the beaten path. Okay, that'll go there. And let's take a look at this right here. Okay. Wow, so that was a lot, but I really like it. I think it turned out really cool. And it's a good way to use your scraps up and add color to your page without a whole lot of, you know, the scrap element is definitely a nice way of adding color to the page without a lot of tediousness. The trees, on the other hand, we've learned today, take a while. So I hope this has been fun for you, and I hope that this is a layout that you would use in your own albums. I really do like my trees. I think they turned out cute. And I'm not going to cover them up. This will have a peekaboo pocket so people can still see the trees. All right? Thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.